Hello, and welcome to the new normal for Sunwest Communications. Like many of you, I'm sure, we are using Zoom to conduct a lot of our business calls and just to kind of check in on each other amongst a lot of other technological platforms. So I'm going to start with a quick introduction of myself and the team we've got on the video today. Very excited to learn more about their work from home tips that we're sharing with you. I'm Hannah Luera. I am the social media manager for Sunwest Communications, and I'm also the executive assistant to our amazing CEO, Creighton Webb. We also have on this call Whitney Strauss, who is Senior Counsel of Corporate Social Responsibility. Hey, Whitney. And sorry, Philanthropic Services. I always forget part of your title. It's so long. We also have Account Coordinator Alicia King on the call. Hi, Alicia. Senior Managing Director Melody Elliott, who recently celebrated her 20th anniversary with the firm, so we're very excited about that. We have our Account Coordinator Caroline Barksdale on the call. Thank you for joining us, Caroline. Account Supervisor Kristen Carter. Hey, Kristen. And we have Aline. Again, not going to try to say your last name because it's very tough for me, but there she is. She's our office manager. And Allison Klingzik, Senior Account Executive. Hey, Allison. And then we have Caroline Hazelbaker, who is our account coordinator. Did I forget anybody? Okay, we're all good. So let's jump right in. Whitney, I want to start with you if that's okay. I know you've got a couple kiddos at home, and like many of our team members are trying to navigate being a teacher, being a mom, and just doing your everyday work from home. So tell us a little bit about that and what you've kind of learned along the way.
Sure. Well, I have my whiteboard in the background. So I think what I've learned is I am a adequate substitute teacher. So I appreciate my son's teachers even more. I have a 14-year-old in 8th grade and a 9-year-old in 3rd grade. So they're in very different stages of their schooling. So what we started doing, I involved them in all of the prep. So my youngest and I kind of put together a pseudo schedule so that he was front loading a lot of his work in the morning. And then in the afternoons, it was still scheduled-ish, but he was having some more free time to do stuff, which meant that I could do calls and things like that. So we all worked together to create a schedule for how we were each going to get our own things done and not trip over each other and not get stressed out. So I'd say my first thing that I noticed was the more prep that we do for our school days and work days, and also our menu for the week, which is up here too, the better off we all are to just navigate through our weeks. And we also have been having just a lot of fun with this, that we've been, we created a mascot for our school and just stuff like that. And I make sure that throughout the week we have things to look forward to. So they help choose the meals, and we have Fun Friday where it's kind of anything goes Friday, and kind of cute little things like that that the boys can look forward to during this time. And then we also have a community service project that we started that I talk about in a lot of my CSR efforts. And we are pen pals for the senior source. So they write a letter to a senior citizen every week, which they look forward to that because it not only helps with their letter writing, but then they look forward to getting the letter back. So I think overall, I don't try to go for perfection. I try to just say, we're good. This is good enough. And we're giving each other grace as we work through this time of schooling and working.
That's awesome, Whitney. You're an amazing person, mom, teacher, everything. So great to hear that. And I know that other moms would probably love to hear that as well. And keeping with that, Melody, I kind of wanted you to jump in and give your 2 cents since you've got kiddos at home, and what's mom and work life like? How are you balancing that? Any tips for us?
Well, I have a 12-year-old, and my tip has been that we needed to all have our own space where we could be productive. I ended up in a bedroom. I did not get the office. I did not went out, but you know what? It worked out for me because I need a space where I can see outside and feel creative, but yet be able to block out noise and what's going on. So with my husband and my son both being loud, I am fine being relegated to the bedroom because I've made my own little space. And I have to say a tip Ergonomically, I am set up at not a traditional desk, but I made sure that everything was set with my elbows at at the same height as my keyboard. I read up on a lot of details there because we're going into several weeks of this, and I want to make sure I don't have some muscular issues from this. But I would also say, besides making an area productive for yourself, even if it doesn't seem like on the surface what you would typically do, because I'll tell you the truth, I had an office set up in our upstairs area that's really cute, but I realized it's not functional for me at all. So that's why the bedroom worked out for me. But my son, the best thing I could say, if you have middle school and older, they need their earbuds. Let them have their time with their earbuds. So I just think embracing just what I said of, I had an area set up that I thought if I ever worked from home, that would be so cute and perfect. It wasn't. So making things work that really work for you is the key right now.
Those are some awesome tips. Thanks, Melody. Appreciate it. I can kind of relate. I've worked from home for a while in my career, and you know, do so a little bit now as well. Before all of this happened, and as you can see, I'm on a couch. I prefer it. My husband has taken the home office, and I don't mind it. This is what I'm used to. So he's got the big screen in there, and I'm always on my laptop, so it's very portable and it suited me well. So thank you for all that, Melody. Caroline Barksdale, I know that you can't relate to mom life. You and I both can't, which is fine. We've got, you know, our own stuff going on. And so kind of wanted to ask you what your tips are. You've been amazingly transparent about, you know, the challenges as well as kind of the tips and things that you've learned about working from home. And just wanted you to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say for me, the biggest thing is just trying not to go too stir crazy and get stuck in the walls of my apartment. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. We're both working from home, so our space is pretty limited as far as where we can work versus relax and live. So for us, the biggest thing has just been trying to physically differentiate our work time from our, you know, relaxed time. So for us, that has been just at the end of the day, you know, 5 o'clock or whenever we're done, we physically put our work stuff away and we kind of turn our space back into where we can relax, because our space is in our kitchen and in our living room. And so after we're done with work, we can relax and watch TV or eat in our space, and it can be different for us. And just taking a few breaks throughout the day, sitting on our balcony when we eat lunch or maybe walking around the block has been really helpful for us, and just trying to keep a normal routine and taking care of ourselves. So it's been good. It's definitely been an adjustment, but it's been good.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and you have that roommate perspective as well. You know, it's sometimes different with a spouse and a roommate or with kids. So that's great. Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it. So then we're going to move on to Aline, and I'm excited to hear from you, Aline, because when we were discussing this earlier, you kind of have a unique position as our office manager, and there's just a lot of things logistically that might be difficult for somebody in your role to do from home. So what kind of technologies or what have you been using to kind of help you get through with business continuity, but also kind of staying sane and making sure, you know, that you're having that work-life balance?
So I have particularly had to adjust to this whole new situation and the new normal. I have to divide my time between being in the office about 50% of the time and 50% working from home. And one of the biggest challenges that I faced at the beginning was just, I'm used to having so many windows open and just having to navigate multiple programs that I use in order to get my work done. So I figured, you know, I don't have the 2 screens at home since I wasn't working from home previously. But I had a big screen TV at home that I thought, you know, that could be useful to me. So I connected my laptop, and I've been able to just be able to do my work using the screen. And it's much real estate than the more screen real estate that I thought I would need. But you know, it's been extremely helpful. Because of that particular logistics, I have to work from my living room, which works out perfectly. It's much bigger than the small office that we have in our apartment. But yeah, it's been great, and I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea with, you know, I actually took my monitor from work the big one, and brought it home and have connected it. My husband's using it, but he's getting great use out of it. So those tips are very helpful. Thanks for that. And then Alicia, I'm going to jump to you next, if that's okay. I thought it was really neat that in your response when we were discussing, work from home tips, that you had been homeschooled and you found that as that has been kind of helpful, drawing back on that experience to this time of having to work from home. And so tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I was actually homeschooled for the duration of my education up until college. And that was obviously back before the coronavirus caused all the schools to close and everyone to be homeschooled. But the transition for me was really easy because I was used to working from home in some capacity. And one of the biggest things that, I learned from being homeschooled and that I've kind of been able to implement working from home is that it helps to establish kind of a general routine, but to also remember that you can be flexible with that. And so, like everyone was talking about, everyone works differently. So find a space that's inspiring to you and where you can work well. And for me, that's, like shifting around and finding different places that work for me. One day it might be at my home office, or maybe one day I'll sit outside and enjoy the nice weather. But I think it's also important to remember that you can be flexible, take some time during the day, take a short break and go on a walk, or maybe even, finish up some laundry, try cooking your own lunch because you have the time to do that now. You don't have to drive all the way home and have like 10 minutes to throw something in the oven. And if you do those things, you'll feel more accomplished by the end of the day. And then also another big thing is to really be thankful for the time that you have being at home. Because we're lucky enough to be able to work from home. Not everyone has the opportunity to be able to do that. And then you're really kind of saving time, not having to commute from work, not having to go to physical events. It's nice to find the peace in that time that you have. And so, looking back, I've really been able to appreciate the fact that I was homeschooled. And I think that once the pandemic is over, we'll look back and realize there might be some aspects that we kind of missed from having the opportunity to work from home.
That's very insightful. You're wise beyond your years. I think that's great to kind of look at it from that perspective. We are lucky that, many of us can work from home, and those who can't, we're so grateful for everything they do. And so another person who I want to introduce who is, wise beyond her years and is just an inspiration to me, and she's kind of in the same age group as me, is Kristen. I was just blown away by your response about how you wake up early and you get a workout in and you're just so motivated. Whoever said millennials are lazy just needs to meet you and they will, rethink that whole phrase. So tell us a little bit more about your routine and kind of what keeps you going during this time.
Well, first of all, you were way too good to me. Those are very kind words. But I think most of you know that I am really not a morning person. Sadly, I have all of these dreams of all the things I could accomplish in the mornings before work if only my natural rhythm would allow me to thrive in the mornings. But so that said, my routine prior to shelter in place gave me about an hour and a half to 2 hours every morning before I was seated at my desk and needed to be mentally prepared to start the day. Because if you think about it, that time was filled with getting dressed, which included hair and makeup. We're not doing that right now, or I'm not, at least. It included, prepping breakfast and lunch for the day, packing a bag for the gym after work, and then at least 30 minutes of driving and listening to music on my way to the office, which none of that is happening right now. So I quickly learned that simply getting up, getting dressed, and stopping at the Keurig before I sat in front of my computer was not enough to get me ready and in the right mindset to get going. So I kind of flipped my routine and started with a workout in the morning because it just was a good way for me to fill that time and jumpstart myself and my rhythm to where I was at a point that was ready to get started and get going on work afterwards. So that can be anything from either a walk or a run outside to even just a 10-minute online video workout of some sort of activity to get myself, going and awake and ready to start the day. It's really been a game changer for me.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, again, inspirational probably to many of us. I am also not a morning person. So I will try that. I'll try to try that. So next we've got Allison. The one thing that really stood out to me about your tips were, I mean, you had a lot of great tips in there, Allison, but about, kind of keeping in touch with, in our role as communicators in the public relations field, it's important that we keep in touch with, our media contacts during this time. And wanted to kind of get more information from you on that and hear more about what you're doing to stay in front of them during this time as you're working from home.
Yeah, again, it is just like we are connecting with our family and our friends. It's very important to keep up with the media and I think a lot of it's just keeping up our normal relationships and continuing to reach out and see what they're doing. And, they're in a whole new normal like we are. And everything for them has shifted and topics and all have shifted. So just continuing to reach out to them and see what they're doing and where we can fit in, I think has been a lot. And again, just like with all relationships, just kind of keeping up and also, thinking outside of the box of what's other ways we can connect or other things we can talk about. And I think it's helped kind of build relationships and kind of, again, they're humans just like we are, and just helping to connect with them has been helpful.
Those are great tips. I know that's kind of industry specific, but I think it's also more general, not just connecting, on a person-to-person basis, but also, through work, how you're communicating with folks, contacts through business, and just checking in on everybody in your life. So last but not least, we have Miss Hazel Baker, Caroline Hazel Baker. She is, again, another one who's wise beyond her years, and your response really blew me away about, I remember one of your last parting words before we all had to start working from home was how you were going to, learn some new skills and kind of, focus on certain things. And I was just excited to hear how that's going for you and what tips you've got for us today. So let us have it.
All right. So I knew that during this time, it's just been so uncertain and the news changes. I used to say by the day, and now it's by the second, it feels like. And if you dwell on those updates specifically related to the virus, I think it can just lead to a lot of anxiety and fear, which that's something we definitely don't need right now because we're already experiencing so many changes in our normal lives. And so something that I've tried to do is continue to do the things that I know that I love, but also try new things that I've always wanted to try. So one of the things is I love to be in nature. I don't know if you can hear the birds cawing in the background. So I've tried to be outside as much as possible, go for walks, go for runs, or just sit outside and read. I finally finished a book that I've been reading for what feels like the last year. I've tried cross stitching, which has been really fun, and I've been baking and cooking more, and just going to our garden plot and harvesting some of the plants that we've had growing for the last few months. So just been doing those things, and also just trying to have pretty routine check-ins with myself and my family and my friends, and just ask how everyone is doing, and just allowing space for that honesty too, because like how everything is changing now circumstances wise, I think how I'm doing or how my friends doing is also changing really quickly. So some days I feel really okay about the situation and I really love working from home, and then the next day it might be a different scenario. So I think just kind of rolling with the punches and really taking the time to ask yourself if you're okay, and then having the knowledge of yourself to know this is what I need to do to take care of myself right now. And I think choosing to do the things that you love, because that's one of the things that'll keep us sane right now.
That's very insightful, Caroline. I appreciate that. And I knew you were going to say something great. So it sounds like you're making the most of your time. And I think a lot of us, are kind of discovering still what works best for us. And it's just on an individual basis. What works for one of us might not work for another one of us. And just to be patient with yourself and check in on everybody. So I think those are kind of the main themes, and there you have it. That's the Sunwest team take on how to work from home with grace, and we hope that you found them helpful. We are also excited about the blog that we've got posted on our website, sunwestpr.com. So we hope you check that out. We've got a lot of other great videos surrounding CSR, reputation. So go ahead and take a look at those on our website as well. And we thank you for watching and hope you are all well during this time and hope you have a great day.